Them elbows poking wide on that Cadillac truck. Open screens on me, I'm tripping flipper-lack. I'm on a mission for podcasting and sexy ladies. Allow me to introduce you to my CL coffee.
Episode 6.
Oh, I got my grill in. Yo.
Oh my God.
I'm out here.
Back.
Yo, I'm in my bag.
Back from a week off.
Back at it like I left my wallet. Like I forgot the car keys.
Shout out to everybody who was looking for us last week. I saw quite a bit of that. It was a nice feeling.
It was nice to be wanted for once in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I took a little vacation. I went to the sandy beaches of Monaco.
Wow.
I was skin surfing with Naomi Campbell. I mean, it's something I like to not really speak about too much, but
you shouldn't.
You know.
Don't kiss and tell.
All right, Naomi, yo, my fault, girl.
We're here. We're super hydrated, ready to get into the 6th episode of our podcast. It's kind of crazy that it's only been 6. It feels like much more already.
I feel like a grizzled veteran.
I know, dude. Especially we were just recording some cool ads. If you are listening on any of the audio platforms, we kind of keep a YouTube ad free for now since that channel is not monetized. But if you are listening on any of the podcast apps, you're going to hear we did a Spotify ad. That was pretty cool. It was cool to get the opportunity.
And I think our YouTube will blow up because we're going to start doing bare knuckle boxing and cat fights. So I'm pretty sure like within the next week or two, we're going to hit 1 milli.
If there's one thing you can count on us to do, it's to say that we'll do a bunch of things.
Awesome stuff.
Incredible things.
Stuff you haven't even seen before.
And then you'll have to wait out to see if any of them will happen.
Yeah.
Or all of them.
We're trying though.
What do you want to talk about this week, man? I want it to be free flow. For those of you who don't know, I was in the Dominican Republic last week. It's a beautiful country. Shout out to, well, you know what? Shout out to the resort, really. I'm going to be straight. I wasn't like out in the Dominican. The resort was super duper nice, but it was one of those situations where like I don't know, man. Like I could have been in Kansas if the weather was that nice. Like, cause we were in a, you know what I mean? We were in a walled community. We were obviously very like, so it's not the Dominican day-to-day life. You know what I mean?
You weren't like running around the streets of the DR.
No. And dude, it was funny because like, it was beautiful, obviously beautiful. And the people were super kind. It was the one note that I have that somebody needs to explain to me is that I couldn't get a joke off.
They just weren't having it?
They just like, they spoke well enough English to...
they knew what you were saying.
I feel like they did. And to serve, for lack of a better word, like they were on top of everything we needed, you know? But then I'd be like slick with a one-liner or whatever, and they would go stone-faced. I was like, what is this?
So you were trying to get a little reaction.
And then I was like looking at the entertainment for the week. No comedians.
Wow.
So I was like, maybe this is a thing. I don't know.
Maybe they just don't laugh out here.
Maybe comedy doesn't really work over a language barrier, like even more so than you'd imagine. You know what I mean? Like it seems obviously, right? Like obviously if you don't know what Eddie Murphy's saying, then, you know, it's not that hilarious, right? But,
I get it.
But he's like world famous and most of our stand-up comedians are.
Mm-hmm. As are you.
Yeah, I am.
So they should have been on that.
I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just not Dominican funny.
Well, I spent the week in the area, and it was wild. Let me tell you. I actually caught up on a little YouTube. Yes, I actually. All
right.
I thought about. All right, if you guys don't know who Rack and myself are, we initially cross paths on a thing called YouTube.
Yeah, it's a little site.
You may have heard of it. It has a couple people that watch it, I guess. But they have like there's little worlds that like you don't know about. Like there's this whole makeup world. Where this dude, James Charles or whatever, I'm sure you heard about. Dude, he has like millions. I never heard of this cat before this whole thing, bro. Well, I'm not going to get into that.
Are you making a joke or he has 2 first names, James?
No, that's just, like James Charles. Like he wanted 1 first name, but then he was like, nah, like fuck. Like I'm going with 2.
So it's not like a Chad Michaels.
No. Thing. Like when I name my kid just going to be named like Anthony Joshua, like Tommy Jim. But
Tommy Jim.
But no, for real, like sneakers was our shit, right?
Yeah.
And it's such a small part of YouTube that you don't really realize how big the shit is. Anyway, I'm like, let me catch up on my Shoetube and see what's going on. See like who's popping. You know what I mean? And
dude, I'm so happy I ejected out of that little whatever.
Well, no, but I still
Before they called it shoetubing.
Well, I just threw it out there because it made sense. But I got out of it too, and I still get messages like, "Yo, make videos," and I'm like, "Yeah." So I thought about it. I was going to make a video.
If we have a YouTube channel, so we should do more with the YouTube channel. I don't even like doing video for the podcast.
Yeah,
but we got to figure out something to do with the YouTube channel,
right?
Because for those of you who don't know, YouTube is owned by Google. It's just it gets a lot of organic exposure, so people find it randomly.
Well, I went into this. I started searching sneakers and stuff like, and the usual heavy hitters are still there. But I noticed that the rich young kids are like huge right now. Like if you're under the age of 20 and your parents are rich, you're killing it.
Oh wow! Now,
yeah, like yo, for real, like you're doing work. And
here's the thing, man. Rich, I'm assuming white, privileged kids have always been okay.
Yeah, well, I never seen them, so I've only heard through word of mouth and smoke signals. But I will say that beef, and not the kind that you throw on the barbie. I'm talking real beef here, guys, like the kind that might get you punched in the face.
Oh, shit.
That is actually back in a major way.
So they got what? Like spoiled rich kids fighting?
No, these are like dudes our age. The little rich kids are out of the beef. They're not even with the beef. The little rich kids are just going into these stores in like LA, and their video titles are all the same. And they all jocked Joe LaPuma, who, he didn't invent it either, but it all says like sneaker shopping. I spent $45,000 on Supreme in 10 minutes. Like those are every single title, but they have millions of views, right?
Yeah.
So I'm watching this and I'm like, wow, this kid's driving a fucking Range Rover. He's wearing like a $6,000 sweatshirt. He has no idea.
And you're that lifestyle is not, for those of you listening, COYLE is really hipping me. I don't know. So I'm going to ask probably some naive questions. Like there's probably some kids. There's probably some kids that watch these guys and they're going to be like, what a dumb question. But that stuff is, it appears that stuff, the Range Rover, the $600 sweater or whatever, that's like gifts from their parents, or have they built a YouTube following that's making them some money? They
all have to have a video where they say their parents don't give them anything.
Okay.
Because if your parents give you anything, your credibility is shot.
See, now, I don't even want to make assumptions about people I don't know, but I think if I were a Hilton or the son of a professional athlete or whatever, and I had money and I came on YouTube, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm that guy. I'm all the things you thought.
Yeah.
Like, well, my dad bought me this, but then I would stress that, like, and now I'm trying to do my own thing. Well, so stick around and
the one kid owns it, right? Mm-hmm. And now because he owned it, and he was honest, I give the one kid credit, right?
Yeah.
But I will say that the younger kids seem to be a little bit more mature than some of the dudes our age, and that's kind of sad. Like,
wow.
That
so I hate names.
Yeah.
What are the people our age doing?
Yo, all right. So back in the day, they used to do this thing called YouTube Live, where like a bunch of YouTubers would jump on and shoot the shit. Basically a podcast, right?
Yeah.
And now they're doing that. That like has come back in a major way, right? Okay. And now they all basically get on there and they'll find like one point to where like you'll catch one of the other dudes slipping up. Like somebody will like show a fake, right?
Okay.
Or like one of the reseller dudes will sell a fake shoe and get caught. And then that will be the basis for like 15 videos of just dogging that dude out. And all the dudes get on there and talk shit about the one guy because he got caught selling a fake.
Why does it, just real quick, why does it matter? How do people our age create content about, say, someone else I have a YouTube channel again, let's say. Yeah, and I'm about to go live because you've shown a fake on your channel.
Right.
How do I validate that to people? Like, what is it that I'm saying?
All you say is you title the video like beef. It's what's for dinner.
Oh my God.
And then you get on there with like 4 of your friends and you just dog the fuck out of me the whole video.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it?
That's the fucking video.
Wow.
And people are watching it like in droves. And it's to the point where like I think they started YouTube with the intention of doing sneaker videos. And now the sneakers are like the backdrop for like the WWE. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
Like it's turned into this whole other thing. And it's all these same like 20 dudes. And they all don't get along. But then they'll have videos where I think it might be like slick, low key, like seriously, like WWE, like they all know each other and they're doing this like just to come up.
So it's just like an act,
right?
Well, when you say our age, like I don't mind saying my age. I'll be 36 this year,
Mid
right?
30s, early 40s. Some of
Do you
them
mean
50s.
Legitimately our age or older?
Adults, cuz.
Wow.
Like I was thinking about it, like because it looks like they do it like every night, and like I have a job, like I'm old. When I'm not working, like I'm trying to hang out with family and I couldn't find time to do that, which is part of the reason why I stopped doing YouTube in the first place. But just to dog another dude for
I stopped so no one would ever call me a Shoetube.
Oh, you're a Shoetuber, bro.
Dude,
I'm calling you that. I'm calling you out right now. No, but
Sweet.
No, but for real, and I did notice that the usual players are still there. Like my man, Mr. Foamer Simpson.
Oh,
him and
Foamy, though.
Him and his brother, Young Buckets Esquire, have basically just carved out their niche and they own that shit.
Yeah.
And I respect it so heavy. Like, I love that dude.
Yeah, he's super cool.
Yeah.
One time we were in Miami together, and him, his brother Buckets, and I, Mike. So Foamer, Buckets, and I were just like in a lobby in a hotel, just having like a straight up conversation
Such
for like
a genuine
6
dude.
hours.
Yep.
And then never did anything in one of the most lit cities in the country.
We'll just hang out.
But
there are still,
I like him.
Yeah.
I think Jacques is awesome at what he does.
Yes, still killing it. Yeah.
And I think I think that what he does is sort of the best
version.
Yeah, it's sort of it's obviously like the Disney Channel of sneakers.
Polished.
And I don't know if you know Jacques. I've met Jacques a number of times. He presents that way always. So he's like a super polished. It's not like if you meet Jacques off air.
7-Eleven, 3 a.m.
He's like fucking slamming like
yeah,
kegs. He's not like keg standing and
I
fucking
can see that.
burping in your face and acting like a lunatic.
would
He's
love to see
like
that.
pretty much always polished, and so it's funny because like not only is his product I think some of the best produced and maybe the most important in the space, but it's also pretty true to him, which is kind of funny. Like you would assume if I put every effort into building a platform on YouTube that I thought the brands were going to support, that I thought was going to monetize well or whatever, it would probably look very similar to Jacques. But if you met me off camera, that would
I'll attest.
it would be
Keg stands.
It would be quite a different scenario. Yeah. That's why I think what's always been more important to me is to be myself, because I do this in my free time for fun.
Yeah.
But okay, so those two I really like quite a bit, and then I've always enjoyed Nightwing's channel a lot. I really like.
What a good dude.
Now, I mean, even though currently I don't like play basketball or care much about an Anta sneaker or whatever.
Yeah.
I've always been like into his personality, and like there's one thing you could say about it too, is that he's really the only one doing a sneaker review. So he's the only one saying like, here's the sneaker.
He's still doing it.
Here's what they claim.
Yeah. He's taking it apart, the tech.
And then he's like, and I've given it 80 hours and this is how it ranks against its claims.
I respect that.
And that's how reviews are done, not only traditionally, but correctly. Like that is a review. Yeah, whereas like if I pulled it out the box and I'm like, this color, this is suede, this is blue, this is green, that's not a review.
He used to have competition from these two dudes, Kick Genius.
Right. But competition is a funny word because he really put them on at the beginning.
But I can't find them. I don't know if they're still in existence.
I don't know.
I don't know what happened, but they're gone. But I did notice that the knockoff market still has its own lane. Like the proverbial Chinese Pennsauken market special is
reps.
Yeah, but they're really good now. Like it's crazy how good they are. And I want to talk about if you'll indulge me here. We'll switch lanes a little bit, but shout out to the Shoetubers. You like that?
Yeah, dude.
You like that? But
has anyone made a Shoetuber t-shirt yet?
yo, it's about to come out. I'm dropping
wear it.
that shit.
I want to wear it for the gram.
Yo, well, the day I became a Shoetuber was the day my life's goals have been met.
Are YouTubers who do sneaker reviews still the most sensitive people on earth, though?
Yo,
like if I wore a Shoetuber t-shirt like this, like would that like make them cry?
These beef videos, these dudes were getting heated.
See, that sucks, man. I've always wanted to have like poke a little fun and just like have fun.
Yeah.
Kais is really funny like that because like he does a number of things and I don't know him, right? At all. Literally, I don't know him at all.
Right.
Somebody told me one time that I was in the shop while he was in the shop. So we've literally gone like this. That's how much I don't know him.
Complete strangers.
But occasionally I'll see stuff he does get like retweeted or you know how, this is like, I'm getting on a little bit of a tangent, but it's another thing we should talk
Racks
about.
on a tear.
Dude, why is my Twitter just a bunch of things that other people follow and like now? Have you noticed that when you go on Twitter? I follow like 89 people.
Okay. So
I should know what to expect.
So if they like something, now it's on your timeline.
But moreover, like when I go on the app, like I expect to see certain things, you know? And I instead see whatever they like or whoever they follow. It's like suggested. Anyway, I don't know why Twitter works that way, but I don't like it. It is, however, the reason that sometimes I see stuff that Kais does. And it's like, I want to poke fun, but then I've seen him be like really sensitive about it, right?
Yeah.
But then the other end of it is like, at least, I guess I should say I don't know how often he does stuff like this because I only see it if it gets on my timeline.
It only gets brought to your attention.
But it looks on my timeline as if
it's
whenever Kais is there, he's just like setting, you know, or if those of you who aren't familiar with volleyball, you would lob it, set it.
The spike is waiting.
Right? To set something is to kind of put it straight up and above you as soft touch as possible so that somebody else can nail it.
Rack and I play doubles, by the way, if anybody wants a game.
Anyway, it looks like he's setting shit constantly. So then I'm like,
out there, though.
That's what I'm wondering if it's like, he's too easy to make fun of, honestly. Like there's no sport in it, but, for real. But, I do wonder, and that's exactly the point I was getting to, if it's like, man, see now I might say something that sounds mean, but like, is he a dork who got lucky and got popular?
Yes.
Or is he a guy who plays that part because it gets everybody right? Like it makes dorks go, our champion. It makes cool people go, what the fuck?
I'll say this.
You know what I mean?
I think he owns that. And I think that is truly who he is. Like, he's not playing the role. Like, you're not going to go on that dude's whatever channel, and he's not going to be acting gangster one day. He's not going to be out there like talking about, you know, the fair ones and drinking 40s. Like, the dude is who he is, and I will.
Well, that's cool.
I respect it.
That's very cool.
Yeah. And about the hype stuff, like in one video, he'll do the most hypest hype shit ever, but then he'll own it. He'll be like, yo, like I am a hype beast. Like I do only like stuff because it's limited. Or
yeah, but you know, like I guess my point is that's still not cool.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean? Like that's like I have friends that are friends with Kais or nice to Kais or like
nice to Kais
but he'll say things to me like no, dude, he's a goofball, but he's like really a nice guy.
Okay.
Right? I just don't think that everybody's for everybody. I'm sure the same thing is said about me. I'm positive.
I'll say yes, it is.
You know what I mean? Where people are probably like, nah, dude, he's all right. Or whatever.
He's a good guy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the opposite.
Or
nah,
like,
dude, I mean,
he's a piece of shit.
he would just be so much more annoying if he knew how much I didn't like him. You know?
Oh, man.
Maybe this is just like human. Maybe this is just playground politics. Dude.
It is, but I want to touch on something that involves all this.
Go.
StockX had their StockX Day.
Shout out Joss Luber.
It was called StockX Day 3, even though it was Day 1. A lot of people got because it was the third time they've done it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So from what I understand, all the people that went, basically, it was an ad. The whole thing's an ad.
The whole thing's an ad.
They're just getting all these people who have a little bit of say so in the community. They get all these people together and they roll out their pitch, and then they hope that you will in turn go and pitch it. Like, so it's one of the slickest things I've ever seen done. Dan Gilbert, Josh, the guys that are involved with StockX, they really got something going on with this. I mean, they're killing it. Obviously, who am I? Like, you guys haven't heard of them, right?
Right.
But man, to get all those people in the same room and all they have to pay for is then they get there. Like, none of it's paid ads. We're talking about it right now. All I'm saying is it's a really slick maneuver that they did. But I respect it.
Well, let me say this. First of all, I don't and never have done any work with StockX, but I would.
In a heartbeat.
And I mean that like on a number of levels. First of all, Luber's from Philly. Second of all, I fucked with Luber since like the campless days. Like, he used to text me just like when I was live on YouTube, seriously, years ago, and just be like, yo, you're one of the best at this, and I catch all your shit and blah, blah, blah. And then I would be like, when I worked at Kicks on Fire, how can we use some of this campless data? Da, 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 da. You know what I mean? So like, personally, I fuck with Luber. Second of all, I think it's a great service. Probably
the best. Let's be real.
That's the only way that I would sell a sneaker if I were to do that.
They caught a lot of heat recently, right?
Right.
Because the Chinese, the bootleggers have done an amazing job with these Travis Scott Air Jordan 1s, right?
Yeah, but okay.
So apparently, they're so close that there are only a few minuscule ways to tell the difference. Right. So a few pairs got through their guidelines, right?
That's okay.
And everybody's saying, oh, they're getting sloppy, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's true.
If you know that there's minuscule ways to find them, then StockX will become aware of those ways and this will pitch correct.
And by the way, if you get sent a pair, they take them back, from what I understand.
I mean, I don't know what their terms and conditions are. Right. I certainly don't want to speak on behalf of them because, again, I don't work with them and I don't know.
Yeah.
But in every regard, spend your money cautiously. If you're aware that the Travis Scott could be so good that it could fool StockX and possibly yourself.
Yeah, if it's getting through, you know what I mean?
Let it go, you cornballs. Like, let it go. Dude, I don't even want to talk about that brand because that brand's doing so much. So, like, just hold your breath for 5 seconds.
Wait a minute. Hold on, dude.
You know what I mean? Hold your breath for 5 seconds and you'll get excited about something else. Don't worry about it.
We have a little...
just let it go.
I detect a little bit of my rack senses are going...
Nah, dude. I love StockX. StockX.com.
We're not talking about StockX.
Dude, how cool would it be to be sponsored by StockX, though? Because then you could just be like, hey... but I want these, and I want those.
And they have them. Yo, they got Bear Bricks now. Yo, StockX is everything, yo. Because I want this new Prada purse, and they got it. Like, it's banging,
This is so free. Like, StockX is just one of those things that's so good that it just gets free play here.
Yo, I remember when he first had this idea and he was pitching it, and people said he was nuts.
Why? Well, the only reason I didn't think he was nuts. The only reason I ever was like, is because I immediately know, like, I know Luber just well enough to know that he knew or believed it could be this big.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that anything sneaker centric could be this big.
Yeah.
And now obviously they've expanded a bit, right?
Which was
natural. It got big, way bigger than I thought it would as sneakers.
I think anybody would have thought that, like, when he was saying like a stock market for sneakers, right? Mm-hmm. In order to have a stock market, like, you have to have a certain amount of interest and a certain amount of people working. Like, I just didn't know how they would get you know how many sneakers are made on a daily basis? Like, how would they quantify that how many people would it take to do that? But they did it.
Right. They nailed it, man. Yeah, I would say that, like, I always believed, first of all, if you know Josh Luber, you're just like, that kid's smart enough to do whatever, And then second of all, he was working it really hard. He was collecting a lot of data and he was figuring it out.
I love that he chose the place that I love that he chose Detroit. I love that he chose an area that was not looking good at the time, and because he decided to choose that area, for having him there, they're better for it.
Well, part of that is, or majority of that is obviously he sold to Dan Gilbert, which is the other thing I was going to say. Like, if you don't know how smart Josh is or how good of an idea it is, he sold it to the guy who owns Quicken Loans. So at that point, there should have been very little doubt. You know what I mean? Like, it's safe to assume at that point that those are people who know better than you.
Yep.
You know, like it's like basketball Twitter. You know, they're like, man, that was the wrong play to call. And I'm like, yeah.
Like, oh, for real?
Oh, you think so?
They probably never thought of that. You're right.
Thanks, buddy.
Good job.
You know, so I mean, at that point, I was just like, wow, this is going to do things for sure. And then I still just thought, like, well, there's a bit of a cap on sneakers. Like, sneakers can only be so big. And then it did much more than I think anyone could have ever imagined. But it's definitely my favorite buying, selling platform.
Absolutely.
Period. And now I heard that you could even filter by below retail. Like, you can just click, like, I want to see sneakers that are below retail in my size, which is pretty cool.
I think that they also they brought down a lot of prices on certain shoes. Like, yo, not for nothing, but I love Ultra Boosts. Right now, you can buy these Ultra Hype Ultra Boosts that, like, a couple years ago were thousands of dollars. You can get them for, like, a really good price right now. Like, some of these shoes it's unbelievable. It's really cool, like, how prices change and how the market fluctuates with trends and shit like that. Like, you can jump on something at the right time. Like, not for nothing, but I'm looking at a lot of Asics that I wanted from back in the day.
Right.
I'm on that.
Dude, there's a lot of stuff on there. I was looking at New Balance that people have.
Yo, I want to talk about something real quick. Yo, listen, I've been making New Balance customs, right, for 75 years. I got New Balance customs that are older than so many people listening to this right now, right? I get on this podcast and I talk to my man right here, and I'm like, yeah, this New Balance thing, these custom, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yo, maybe I'll try that. The dude makes one custom and is plastered on more New Balance websites than I have ever been. So let me just go out and say that.
Not only that, it's quickly trending to be like the most popular post on NB1. Did you notice that?
Actually, you just pointed that out, sir. Thank you very much for that, to just rub that salt in the wound. But I just want to say, like, congratulations, buddy.
Thank you.
I knew it was a
You know what I want to say, though, real quick? Thank you to New Balance. Like, thank you to any brand that sees something in you and then gives you an opportunity and gives you a bit of a platform and, like, lets you own it. It's just like, hey, you know?
Yeah, you take fire pics too. I'm not gonna lie.
Good shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's New Balance has done that for me. Adidas has done that for me several times. Reebok,
Jordan Brand,
one time, never.
I'm gonna get to that, dude.
But you know, man, shout out to those that do. Really, like, it's not really worth giving any time to those who don't, you know, take you seriously or whatever. But those that respect you, that give you an opportunity, like New Balance just did, that's dope, man. I think that's really dope, and I think it works. That's what I'm saying, man. I think sometimes the brands, they like to, like, peruse or prowl the community, right? They like to be like this. They're just like, and then you're like, hey, is that you? And they're like,
no,
we would never. We don't have time.
I'm not affiliated.
We don't have time for that kind of stuff.
We're not even on your level.
You know what I mean? And then sometimes, and then they do something, and it's like, wow, man, that looks familiar.
You know, yeah.
And then and then they even, like, fucking brainwashed you. You're like, yeah, but they don't have time for that. There's no way they did it.
And
then other people are like, there's no way they did that. They don't have time. And then they're just like, ha, ha, ha. Right?
So,
but
like,
then other brands are like, yo, dude, you right there, killer, fire. And people see it, and it's organic, and it's true.
And you get credit.
And something like what happened, New Balance is such a great example. New Balance was like, yo, this is great. Show them how to make these. We'll share the picture, blah, 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 blah. And then they moved a lot of New Balance that week.
Who would have thought?
Like, a lot. Like, when I told the number to a couple industry people, and they were like, get out. Because, I don't know, whatever, dude.
I just want to point out New Balance. My name is Mike Coyle.
It's his fault.
I've been known to do these things.
Hit
know
you
what
and
I'm saying?
Eric, obviously.
Eric Smolin. I just want to say that this dude, one of the most down to earth dude. I just want to say that I went to a release for a brand that he used to work for, and he showed up and brought donuts and like was super engaging. And it was the first time that a brand that I love, came and interacted with me, a little consumer, and made me feel like I was important.
Yeah.
And that I would go to the hill for that dude.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. That stuff's fire. And no matter how little or big a consumer you are, in the grand scheme of whatever, sneaker culture and influence and I'm one of those guys that'll get his roses later. I'll get my flowers when it's too late, for sure.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, as quote unquote small as I am, my following is twice as big as the Wells Fargo Center. And they're all specifically interested in sneakers and menswear.
Yep.
So it's not nothing.
No.
And so all I'm saying is thank you and huge appreciation, really and legitimately and sincerely, to those brands that do give me the opportunities to do stuff like that. That shit's fire.
All right. So say you designed a shoe, right?
Right.
Say you did like a custom and it was fire. Like, I mean, like the needle gets moved. Like the needle's in one place, then you make the shoe and then the needle is not there anymore. It's in another place. Like say that happened, and then say the brand of the custom that you made makes the exact same shoe a couple months later, right? Maybe not months later, a while later. They make the same exact shoe, right? And they don't acknowledge you in any way, right?
No.
How do you feel about that?
I would say, well,
that's just a random question, by the way. I don't have any reason.
You know what? I'll give that some context. I think the stuff that Nike is doing, applying Nike sportswear stuff, like vibes to like current Nike stuff.
Yeah.
Like the LeBron 16 now looks like the Air Tech Challenge.
Oh yeah, it does too.
And then they're like selling it with the Air Tech Challenge, or like the LeBron fucking medicine ball or whatever. I think that stuff, it's a two-sided coin, right? Like it's Nike applying Nike IP, right? So I'm not over here like some people saying that anyone, created the idea of making a basketball adapt look like an Air Mag or whatever, right?
Right.
But they do owe some of that to customizers. So customizers for the last 2 decades at least
Have pushed the needle.
have been painting that kind of a vibe,
Yep.
right? They've been doing things like, I want whatever, my dirty breads. Remember dirty breads when they were just blacking out the white midsole on breads? And then, I mean, how many, whatever, dude. How many times have you seen them apply a Yeezy colorway to a different shoe? Or
Dank and Mosh have done so much for that.
Or whatever. There's trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of examples of they made this sneaker look like that sneaker. And so what I would say is that like Nike obviously has every right to do whatever they want to do. And I don't think those things are cool when they're custom, and I don't think they're cool when they come from Nike, just to be straight, like just to get my opinion on wax. I don't want a LeBron 16 that looks like an Air Tech Challenge. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Right.
I want a LeBron 16 that LeBron does something fucking awesome in. That's it. Like, that's how basketball or performance influence has always worked for me.
Yeah.
Like, thank God Jordan didn't play long enough to go out in Fortnite Jordans.
Wow. Do you think, are they really making Fortnite Jordans?
Whatever. I don't even care. But thank God that I like Jordans for the reasons that I like Jordans. And unfortunately, these kids have they're just having a totally different experience. It is what it is. But so anyway, I don't like this. I don't like this stuff. But I think one of the ways they could have done it that would have been cool, like I was saying, instead of like lurking around or being of the culture for several years, then getting a job and then forgetting where you came from or whatever, I think it would have been cool for them to be like, even if it was just a blog, right? Imagine just a Nike news blog.
An acknowledgement.
News.nike.com blog. No one even reads those things. But it could have said, like, here are some of our favorite customs from the last 20 years.
Right.
And introducing LeBron watch, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Our take on this. And we're inspired by such. And then if you were one of those customizers that did one of those, you just can share the link. And, I don't expect Nike to call these guys and be like, yo, Mosh, collab time, bro. You're the only guy You're the only guy that could paint the LeBron 16 to look like the Air Tech. I know that doesn't make sense.
All right, Mosh, listen, bro, it's collab time.
I'm not delusional.
Yo.
But you could be like, hey, here's some of the best to ever do it.
Yeah.
The mashup vibes.
Yeah.
The paint jobs.
Like, all right.
Now we on this.
Yeah. We're going to make this Jordan
I just think it would have been so much more authentic.
Yeah.
Dude, if they did that, and this is being real, like, fuck me and who am I, right? That's the basic. That's their stance on this whole thing, right?
Because they're so huge.
Yeah. So fuck me and who the hell am I? But I would have bought a LeBron painted like a Nike sportswear thing if it was acknowledged, inspired by, say, Mosh, and it was like their take on one that Mosh had done. Then I would have been like, for the homie, for the culture.
Yeah.
I
remember seeing like the original pictures of what drew my attention to customs back years ago was when they did like I think it was Dank. He did an Air Max one that looked like a De La Soul dunk, and man,
Fire.
it was incredible. I don't know how they did that shit, but some of these guys are really talented, and it would be cool if they got a little bit of
see. That's a great example, man. Like when I say Mosh, I don't know what Mosh has done.
Yeah,
I just like Mosh. Like as a person, I don't. When I say the LeBron Tech Challenge, like that's just the first one that comes to mind. I'm saying that you could go back, like you just did, and pull. They painted this shoe to make it look like that shoe, dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and trillions of times, and that's all that they should have acknowledged. Dank or whoever or whoever.
Well, Mosh has this New Balance Kakerlak custom that he did on a 997 that he won't give me.
What's his deal?
I don't know. But Mash, if you're listening to this, I mean, I know they're worn and you probably wore them. They're probably sitting in your closet somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Let me
just hook them up.
I think it would be cool if one day they ended up on my doorstep. Maybe I could send you something that I did. Like, I used to graffiti back in the day. Yeah.
Anyway, I really don't want to talk about those brands because, I mean, they've all but said, because they've never said anything. So they've all but said, we don't really care what you think or say.
They'll find Jimmy
Hoffa.
Hoffa.
So for me, it's just like, I don't care,
They'll find Jimmy Hoffa before they find those humpback whales.
I bet you some of those Shoetubers that you mentioned that I have honestly to God no idea about or whatever because of the size of their following or whatever the hell, I bet they've been shown more respect and given more opportunities from X and Y brand than I ever have or whatever. And so then for me, it's like, so that's number one. Number two, I think it's just very boring to talk about the top spot constantly, right? Like, do you like, if we were talking hip hop, would you want to talk Drake all day?
Yes.
No. Number three, I think that what they're doing is it's kind of trolly, right? So I don't really, like, I swear to God, I don't want to be talking about them, but like, it's a little trolly. Like a lot of their moves, like the one we mentioned moments ago about a video game and a sneaker. There's a lot of that is like, it's going to hit with these kids and it's going to piss off
the veterans,
the guys that made us who we are. And so like, it's just going to make noise.
People are going to talk about it.
And I don't really want to play into that. I don't really care. I could tell you this, that it's not about me being an old man, because if they made a GoldenEye 6 when I would have been like,
well, that's like when Adidas did the Game of Thrones shoes. I was not a fan. I'm not a fan of that whole shtick.
I would say that's basically my advice for every brand right now is like, you don't have to pick up every license that comes at you. Puma, dude. Puma was just like, oh, you want to do a shoe too?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
All like, dude. Oh man, we need one more person in here so that when I say something like, man, Puma grabbed every license this year, they can just Google like licensed Puma product 2019.
That would be dope.
And then they could just
read the list.
Like, cause I know I like Puma, first of all.
Me too.
Puma fucks with me, which I really appreciate. Shout out to Clyde. He's a good dude. And they obviously made a lot of good moves, right?
They did. I started to take note.
100%.
I absolutely did.
100%. But they also took like every licensing deal that was on the table, it seemed like, for a second.
I saw like Sonic the Hedgehog, and then I saw like a Wendy's one, and then like a Burger King. No, I'm lying, but they definitely did Sonic the Hedgehog.
No, but they did Sonic. I think they did Transformers. I think they did toys in general, which was like kind of Mattel looking thing. Yep. And then they did, man, whatever. I should pay more attention, honestly. Now I feel like I'm insulting them. That wasn't my intent. No, they took a lot on, and Adidas did similarly too. Adidas just announced another one that I was like, what? Let it go. You don't need that.
Adidas made a shoe called the Munchin Oktoberfest a couple years ago, right? I'm just going to throw this out there because I got this platform.
Yeah.
Yo, they made it waterproof so you could spill beer on it.
What?
How cool is that, man? I'm sorry,
awesome.
that's freaking dope. Oktoberfest sneakers.
Oh, dude, you know what? I think I remember those.
So you could spill beer on them? That's so fire, dude. Like function meets fashion. Come on, cuz. I'm with that. I would love that, dude.
I'm with it 1,000%. Anyway, I was just trying to do research and be on the mic. You can't do that, so we need a producer, bro.
You know what? We do need a producer.
Anyway, we've been talking too much sneakers anyway. Sneakers is just boring in general.
I know, but
I don't want people to listen to this and be like, man, he's upset or whatever. No, I just think this stuff is boring in general. And then like when I have to talk about boring stuff, I don't want to talk about the most boring stuff about the boring stuff. Like what's a cool thing that you're aware of that New Balance has coming up? Because people won't know, and I don't know. And so when you tell me, and I give her legitimate, then it's not so boring.
Man, off the cuff, I'm clueless.
Okay, well then.
Yeah, I've been kind of out of the loop as of recently.
What do you think the next NB1 edition would be, or what would you pick?
Well, I think that the 990 V3, which is on there right now, is going to make its departure. So there's going to be an open spot. Imagine if they jumped the shark and did the 5.
That would be kind of cool. I don't like the 3 because of the pleated tongue.
Yeah, I don't like.
That's why I didn't ever make one of those.
I'm not a huge fan of the 3 either.
Yeah.
I would just love to see a new shoe on there or some new colors, stuff like that. Like And what I like the most is if they did more like midsole options. That'd be dope too.
Dope. So what are some of the midsole options? Like say like the 997. When you're playing around with that, for those of you who don't know,
you get like 4 options. I think
it's 3.
Might be 3 now.
It's like black, white, and the bone, and then the black and the white sort of have alternate outsole patterns.
Yeah.
Is there? Because I'm asking novicely here, is there different midsole outsole setups that have ever been on the 997, or is it just colors, or
not as far as tech really, but it's just like the coloring. Like when they initially started doing this, they used to do a lot of black midsoles. Well, not a lot, but like it was rare when they did it, and it was cool. Like imagine just like a jet black. More black, more dark. Like a lot of them look exactly the same with a little bit, maybe a gum. You know what I mean? Like just some color. That would be cool, I think. Talking about boring, but in a weird way, exciting. I'm very excited for this triple black 350 V2 Yeezy. Yo, the Yeezy, it's fire. People were mad when they did this shock drop, John. Yeah, dude. People were mad. Yo, they were hating on that shoe too. And then as soon as they found out it was limited. Boy. Just so it was in my email a couple days before then that they were going to do that, because when they do something like that, it changes the way that we're allowed to do certain things, you know? So it was just like, yo, warning, we're going to be doing this. And I immediately thought like, oh my God, people are going to have to admit that they care. Yeah. It had become such a cool thing to be like, over Yeezys. It was becoming cool. Or those are just Yeezys. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, when they miss out on these, like they're not going to have the gumption to be like, oh, I don't care. Yeah, it's so funny that like these trends, how they go, how you can look cool. Like before it was cool to wear them. Now it's cool to say you don't wear them. Yeah, yeah. Like why? Because they made a couple pairs? Like that's crazy. The V2 is sick. I don't care. Oh yeah, I have too many. They're dead. I have too many. They're comfortable. The shape is good. Like, I'm sorry, it's a nice shoe, dude.
The triple black one looks incredible.
Oh, that's a cop.
It's extremely limited, unfortunately, but I think that's going to be the way that it goes. So I saw a quote from the CEO of Adidas. I haven't heard this from anyone internal or anything, but I did see like a public quote where he was like, "Hey, you know what? We're probably not going to make Yeezy our volume play."
Yeah, they did say they were going to tone it down.
We got to go the other way with it and just make an energy product, which is great. It's not the greatest thing in the world to hear as a retailer because you're like, man, well, I could sell as many of those as you give me, so you kind of want to see more of them. But I get it, public facing.
Well, Packer Shoes just did a surprise drop of their own with an Ultra Boost that is amazing.
Dude, very bold. Woo. Very bold, and shout out to Packer. I would have been scared shitless to do that move, to be honest, today. In 2019, I have no problem admitting I would have been wrong because Packer had maybe the only Ultra Boost moment of the year.
Man, and are they dope?
And a lot of people feel that way.
500 pairs. All released through online and through their store in Jersey. The only two places you could get them, they're all numbered, and they just said here. They didn't give anybody any warning. They sent out emails to the people that buy from them that are on their list, their mailing list.
Yeah.
And those are the only people that got any kind of notice that these shoes were going to drop, and they just went bang.
That's so bold, man.
I respect it so much because when we were kids, right? I used to go up to this place called the Roosevelt Mall, and I used to go into this Foot Locker or a couple places on Frankfurt Avenue, the Julio's, and these are like mom and pops, and then the big store, the chain store, Foot Locker. And I would talk to the employees, and they used to get this book. It was this book, and it would have the releases that were coming up in the next month or 2 or 2 months, and I would try to get them to let me see what was in there, to see what was coming out, because there was no other way. Right. It was word of mouth. There was no internet. It was, the new Jordan. When the new Jordan was coming out,
I never saw the new Jordan ever. This is an interesting way to put. Like, you ever have someone ask you like, when did you become a sneakerhead?
Yeah.
I never know how to answer that question because I always liked sneakers, but like it wasn't until like the LeBron 7 that I realized there was a website I could go look at what was going to come out.
The LeBron 7 changed shit.
You know what I mean? Like, so until then, I saw the new Jordan when it hit the playground.
Yeah.
Or an East Bay magazine. You know what I mean?
Like, I remember I cut school to get the what were they, the 15s or the 4? No, the 15s, the ones that everybody hates.
The tongue, I love the 15.
I cut school to get them, dude. Yeah. Like, I was in school when they released, and then the 16s when they came out, cause the 16s are fire.
17 and stuff too. 18. The only reason I like the 18 is the last one he played in. Yeah. 19, no.
Yeah, but back in the day, 20, when you walked in the Foot Locker, it was an adventure.
Dude, let's do that real quick. Let's what's the first time that you were like, no matter how late you were or how early you were, because I don't like people always skew their answers because they think like being early is cool.
Right.
Just when was it that you were like online? You were like, oh wow, this is a whole thing.
Which is crazy because at the time you got to understand, like, this wasn't normal. Yeah. So like in my group of friends, there was only like me and my boy Cy were the only two that were like really into it like that. Yeah. To the point where we would get the East Bay magazines and look through them, like, right. And it was almost like a kind of like it wasn't cool. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a thing either. It was no sneakerhead. Like, it was just, I liked sneakers. Always have, right? Yeah. The first time that I realized it was a thing was probably like 2005, when I remember I needed a new hobby, literally. Yeah. And I started to look around and I noticed there was this thing called Nike Talk, and I'd never been on any forum before in my life. Right. I'd never been an internet dude. I was always outside getting into trouble and whatnot. And I saw that other people were into the same thing, and it blew me away that, like, across the world, people are not across the world, but across, like, even in my city, like, that there were, I knew there were more people, but I didn't know it was like that serious. Well, yeah. Like, dudes were talking about the tech and like the different colors that were coming out. I was like, man, like, I'm kind of interested in that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm like a strap hanger. I look at people's feet first. Like, I think you can tell a lot about a person by what they wear on their feet. If a person's wearing a dirty, dungy pair of all black Reebok classics, right? You can tell that maybe they don't give a shit about that. Like, their appearance isn't number one on their bucket list. Like, maybe they got a lot of kids or whatever. Maybe if the person's wearing dark beat up work boots. Maybe they got a lot. Maybe they're working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just, if a person ties their shoes real tight, like maybe they're not so fashion forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How a person laces their kicks. Like there's all these unsaid nuances.
To the other end of that too, one of the things that I would say is true to me is that like I have a strong personal style, and I don't mean that to say like my style's so good you recognize it. I mean to say that it's very important to me.
Yeah.
Period. That's it. I
just
don't
who you
care.
are.
You know.
Yeah.
So where you might look at my shoes today or another day or whatever and be like, I don't know about, like, I don't know that I'm always out there in something that screams sneakerhead.
Okay.
For example, I'm in a 9 Doc Martin quite a bit. Like that doesn't scream sneakerhead whatsoever, but it's extremely true to me. It's
Yeah,
what
I wear Visvim. Same
you know
thing.
what I mean? But I would say that I was later than you. So I knew Nike Talk existed, but I thought it was goofy.
Yeah.
So and that's just being straight up. Like I was always into sneakers. Always. To put it in perspective, like I have memories of my friend Benny Palmieri having the Airwalks that were made out of tennis balls, and he wore a size 11 and I wear a 9.5, and I would literally double my socks to borrow them from him.
Remember borrowing sneakers?
Dude, like,
Wow.
So always like, and at that point, it didn't mean anything to anyone else. It's not like I did that, and because I had those on that day, something in my life changed or someone acknowledged me or whatever. It didn't mean anything to anyone else, you know? I was just always into it. Just always into it. As far back as, man, whatever. I just the other day we were talking on Twitter and I posted some picture of like me going to my first day of like 4th or 5th grade in a pair of Barclays. So it is what it is, dude. And at the time it was as silly as like, I like the teeth on the side. That's it, man. Or I liked Charles Barkley, you know? So anyway, I always wore them. And then like, I want to say 2007, and I had already been aware of Nike Talk, and I was just like, man, that's like so extra.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel today about just about everything. So if you ever like listen to an episode of this and you're like, he talks about sneakers a lot for
We're
a
a
guy
little
who's
jaded.
constantly
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
doesn't want to talk about sneakers, or you can go back through my history and see that I've tried 3-4 YouTube channels, one of which was on a complex list, whatever. And so then when I'm like Shoetuber, it sounds like, you know, almost contradictory. I've been like that my whole life. Like I like what I like. I don't want you to like it all the time. Like I don't like what you do with it all the time. And that you is in parentheses. It's no one specific,
Not
right?
everybody, yeah.
So Nike Talk is a good example of that. Like when I discovered Nike Talk, I was in a really hot pair of sneakers. And somebody was like, oh, I saw those on Nike Talk. And they showed me Nike Talk 2004, 2005, whenever it was.
Yeah.
And I was just like, Jesus, this is extra dorky.
Yeah.
You know? And then 2009, 8, 9, I don't know what shoe I was in, but my buddy Eric was like, oh, dude, those are sick. I didn't know you like sneakers. And I was like, yeah, you know, as much as anybody or whatever. And then he was asking me like, yo, do you ever think I want to say he was like talking about the Raptor 7s or something. Like, do you ever think they'll ever come out? And I was like, oh yeah, I mean, they're bound to retro if they haven't already or whatever. And then he was just like, oh, I wonder if they had. And I remember he Googled something and then like a website came up with like an article about it. And we were just both like, what? And then that led to like, I don't know. We were just on a little bit of a rabbit hole, whatever website that was. And we were just like, oh my God, all they talk about is this. Like
Yeah,
what's
that's the
coming,
whole
what could be
John.
coming. And if you can, I know it's hard for people to imagine now.
Yeah.
But for us, we were just like, what?
That's the topic.
And wow. And then he clicked over from that to YouTube and tried a similar search, or Google. No, he went back to the Google search, and then Google had suggested some YouTube links. And he clicked one of those, and one of those was Sneak Geeks. And he was talking about like a Foamposite or something. And I was just like, wow. So this guy gets on camera, takes a shoe off his foot and like talks about the shoe.
And look where it went.
And it's and that it's coming forward. And like at the time, that was such a crazy, alien, insane, ridiculous idea that I remember like laughing. I spent a stupid amount of time watching it. So my interest was there like it is today.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was just so early and so extra.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, man. it's funny too, because like sneakers has obviously done a lot for my personal life. Like it's given me a career.
Yeah, it's kind of like a focus, not
or
a focus,
new career, I should say. But at the time, I was like, man, I can't imagine spending that kind of time on that. Like they're just kicks. Like I remember I had one of those stupid, like, you ever seen from Target? It's like a 3-row shoe.
Yeah, the little shoe
thing. And I used to keep it by the door. And so then I would go into my closets and pull boxes and lay out the shoes outside of the boxes. And then there I would have like 3 rows of 12 shoes, let's say. And that would be like my rotation for a while. And it was just as regular to me as like, whatever, picking out a t-shirt. Or whatever. It was just so regular.
I can remember looking at some of these guys with their collections, right, and thinking like, I could never do that. Like I could never imagine having that many shoes, right?
Yeah.
And now looking back, and I look at the amount of shoes that I have now, and it's stupid, right? Like it's ridiculous. Like I want to size down so bad. Yeah. But it's such a tedious process to sell these things.
It depends what you like too, man. Like I will never get over the fact that when this started, all the way through that point that I'm talking about, 2007, 2008, 2009, and like right up until then, all of a sudden, nobody told you what you were supposed to like and what you weren't allowed to like at all.
There was no hype.
There was none of that, right? So I mean, like,
it was genuine interest.
Dude, I remember going into like a Foot Locker and grabbing what would be the equivalent of like an Air Max 90 Essential today.
Yes.
It was just an Air Max 90 like in a cool color.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I want to rock those off. And nobody thought that was cooler or less cool than me grabbing I don't know. What was the Jordan that had like the little heel on it? With the satin folds?
The 2009?
Yeah. I grabbed that the same day I grabbed.
I love the 2009.
Dude, I grabbed that shoe. It was clunky, kind of slapped when you walked.
I still like it.
Dude, I grabbed that shoe and essentially like a black and orange. Leather.
A basic.
97 or 90. And no one cared which one I wore.
No.
Didn't change. And and neither of those are cool by today's rules and regulations, right? But no one was doing that then. I guess that's my point.
You know what's cool?
And before then. So like there were shoes I wanted when I was in grade school.
Yeah.
I think the very first times that I was like, oh my God, were the Penny 1 and the Kamikaze 2. Were like the first 2 times that I was like, oh my God, I need him. And I did whatever I had to do to get him. But I didn't feel lesser than in whatever shoes I was wearing at the time. And no one cared. I don't know how else to say that. Yeah. Like, did cooler kids have pennies? Sure.
Probably.
Sure. But a lot of kids wore the Jason Kidd one with the weird iridescent
alien
eye on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people wore, I'm trying to think, there's people that might fact check what year we're talking here.
Chris Webbers.
Whatever. The Chris Webbers is a great example. You know what I mean? Like you got off with whatever Air Raids, whatever you got off back then. And I just think it's interesting now, and it's accelerating, and it's happened over the last 10 years tops, man, that it's just been like, that's not cool.
Everybody wants to wear the same thing.
Cool. This is cool.
Yeah.
And this was all about you saying you had so many and you wish you could pare down. Mm-hmm. Say you have Jordan 1s.
Yes.
I know you're not really big into them, but
no.
I probably have.
I have
35 pairs.
That's crazy.
Every time I get another pair of 1s sent to me or I buy a pair, my girlfriend's like, oh, great.
Another one.
Another one. It's like, and I definitely don't need any of them outside of like the iconic ones.
Right.
Whatever. I don't know.
You know what's cool? I found the video in my house and it said Christmas 1997 or 1998, maybe that in between those 2 years. And at the time I was working at Polo, and I remember I worked on that Christmas Eve. I had work. So the family was at the house, and my grandmother was really sick, and my grandmother was the most important person in my life, my whole life, right? Mm-hmm. So I got her this really, really cool gift, right? A towel. She would never want me to spend money. She was like a saint. So I kept asking, like, what do you want? What do you want? And she was like, well, I guess I could use a towel. So I got her this towel, right? And I come home and I see the look on her face when I walk in the door because the whole video I'm not there, and then I come in and my grandmother looks at me like the world begins and ends with me. Like the look the grandmother gives the kid is unbelievable, right? But the point is like sneakers, obviously we all wear them at all times, right? The reason that I like it is because they bring back memories. In that video, I was wearing Air Max 95s. And it blew me away because I remember that exact moment, and seeing the video was such a cool snapshot into my life in 1998. And it brought back all these other memories and cool memories of, I forgot what my grandmother looked like. I don't know if any of you guys have a loved one that meant the world to you and that passed away years ago, but you almost forget what their face looks like.
Yeah.
And seeing a live moving image of that person and hearing their voice, it was so monumental for me because I forgot. And
that's wild.
And seeing the reflection of that, the back of that shoe when I'm walking through, and my grandmother's, and then all I hear her say is, "You want something to eat?" No, I'm a husky kid, right? My grandmother would move mountains to make sure I had something to eat. Let me tell you. Yeah. And it was just a dope way to tie up this whole when we were kids and sneakers thing. Footwear.
Yeah, I think that's what most of us are attached to, right? Is that
that was my point.
Nostalgia, yeah.
It is, because when you look at these Jordan 1s, like the reason we like them is because when we were young, like when I was young, I couldn't get Jordans, right? And
I just think like when you're talking about new product, all is fair. Okay. New product, like brand new silhouette, new technology, we're trying this, blah, 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 all is fair. When you're talking about old retro stuff, I think that the measuring or the yardstick has changed, right? Like what was pre 2007, 2005, whatever.
Yeah.
What was cool versus what they tell you has to be cool now, right? Like that SB Lakers turns into Chicago stuff. If it just was 2001 and it just hit some shelf,
it would sit
at finish line.
No way.
I don't know, man. I don't know, right? I don't know, but not like it is today.
There would be, the hype wouldn't be there. Like Jordan 1s weren't always that
well, you would have to
cool.
You would have to be a legitimate Lakers fan, a legitimate skateboarder, a legitimate, you know what I mean? For it to have connected with you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like if I went in Foot Locker and, okay, so let's just imagine, let's play through the whole thing. It's 2005. I go into Foot Locker. I'm like, oh, there's an Air Jordan 1 out. That's a truth. Like I would immediately say.
I would gravitate.
And then I'm just going through my emotions. Okay, this is just the truth to me. I would say that's not an Air Jordan 1 colorway that I'm familiar with. And then I'd try to think and I'd be like, is it like a play on like Magic Johnson? Because Magic Johnson,
Dream Team,
Johnson kind of handed the league to Jordan. There's that story that he was like, "Oh, it's yours now," or whatever.
Yeah.
And and then like let's say the little Tommy or whoever who works at Foot Locker walks over and he's like, "Hey man, you interested in the Defiant?"
Hey bro, we got these new Defiant ones.
So the way they work is they have like air in the insole and the paint rubs off and it actually turns into a Chicago one. And I'm like, okay, so now I would immediately go, this isn't a world where no blogs, no influencers, no limited supply, no reseller, nothing has made me want this shoe. Right? I would be like, oh man, the Chicago ones are fire. Do you have those? Yeah. That would literally be.
Next question.
That's it, right? Yeah. And then he'd be like, "No, we have these, and they're $175."
And then if you go home and you take acetone, you can rub off the bullshit purple and gold and get to the
I don't know, man.
And get to the meat and potatoes.
Am I being crazy?
I don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
I think a lot of people think they're really creative too.
I don't know. All I'm saying is I don't want them today because I wouldn't want them then, and nothing's changed for me. A lot has changed for you out there. I get it, right? Or a lot of you are so new that you don't know it any other way, or a lot of you are just flipping and you don't give a shit about nothing. I get it. That's fine. To each their own. You won't ruin it for me, but that's just where I'm at. Like I'm just like, Whereas like the Paris to New York, I'm like, that's a nice colorway. I
got a perfect example. Trophy Room 5s.
There you go.
These baby blue Trophy Room 5s. Now I'm a huge fan of the Air Jordan 5.
Okay.
I mean, I love them. That reflector tongue, one of the first shoes that made me a sneakerhead. I remember being a little kid and seeing the neighbor across the street, John Young, older than me, coming out, and I saw the reflector tongue hit that that light and light up, and the whole brolic black midsole with the shark fin and that fucking air bubble. Cause with the translucent bottom with the Jumpman underneath, yo, I could go on for days about the Air Jordan 5. But here's the thing. If that shoe's not connected to Trophy Room, if that shoe is not as limited as it is, if it's a GR and they drop it in Foot Locker tomorrow, you tell me what happens.
Dude, no way.
Baby blue and red Air Jordan 5.
Dude, just being on, well, I didn't want it today. So so that everyone knows, I think I could have hit Just for Kicks. Shout out. Just, he would have helped me out.
Just is the man. That dude's awesome.
There's no way in the world that if I wanted that shoe, I couldn't get it. So just erase that from the equation.
Me too.
I didn't want it today.
Just would have hooked me up.
But if I go back to 2005 and we do the whole scenario and I walk in and Tommy's like, we've got the Jordan 5s in the Oilers colorway or whatever.
We got the Oiler 5s.
I would be like, what is that?
Michael Jordan played baseball one day in Houston, and now we have the Oiler 5s.
Is that what it is? I don't know the story on those.
I know the story, but
no matter what it is, I wouldn't want that shoe.
Right. The red pair's fire, though.
I don't know. I remember, and a lot of you people weren't alive for this, but the black metallic and Toro 5 came in a dual pack.
Yeah, the Raging Bull pack.
And that shit was everywhere.
Yes, it was.
Like, I bought those. This is talking, first of all, I'm broke now, but I was mad broke. Saw them, thought buying 2 shoes at once was insane.
Yep. Saved
for them. They went on sale in the meantime, right? I thought for sure I was getting them. Then my girl wanted to go to dinner. That was enough to kill it at that point.
The budget went straight out the window.
She killed it. I waited another 2 weeks for the next paycheck and picked those up on sale.
Yo, Athlete's Foot, Franklin Mills. That's where the remember the Collision?
Yeah.
What were they called? The countdown packs?
Countdown packs, yeah.
Jordan changed the game with that. Remember that? They said, here,
dude, here's the reality of it though. No one cared.
But if you want this model that you really want, you got to take this other one.
Yeah.
Wow.
11-12 was really the only one that
that was fire.
I had a hard time getting.
That was fire.
Well, as much of a hard time as you had back then.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. If no one told you to care then. So the only people who went back to their Foot Lockers several times and scoped those
were the
people who really wanted them.
Yep. And
that was it.
I think when reselling became a thing, like a major, like people's careers, I think that's what changed the game in a major way. And I think they perpetuate the hype to drive the prices up to increase their margin. It's a business, and I get it. And the brands love it because the shoes sell out instantly.
All of that stuff is fine, and I don't want anyone hearing this and thinking that like the way that I feel is the only way to feel, or the way that we enjoy sneakers or remember them is the only good way. You do whatever the hell you want.
Yep.
And you be into it for whatever reason you want, including just making a buck, right? And brands, you go ahead and pander to whoever you want to pander to. It literally won't change anything about the way I feel about it and the kicks that are important to me. Just ask yourself for shits and gigs, just to laugh with or at yourself. Why you really liked or what it was about the last one that bugged you out. Let's say it was a Travis. Let's say you're at home right now and you're like, I'm thinking about buying fake. Dude, I saw so many legitimate people openly talking about maybe getting fake Travises. What? I want you to sit with that idea, right? Legitimate people in your sneaker community are so bugged out by the Travis and how close the fake ones are that I saw 3, count them, legitimately publicly say, maybe I'll just get the fakes. Well, they're so close, no one would. Okay. What are you thinking? What is it? What is it?
I don't know, man, because I think with the whole, if you want a shoe that much, right, I get it. But like, if you have to pay,
get over it.
If you have to pay to play, you got to pay to play. And guess what? Another one is coming out next week. That
you will get just as sick. Like,
it never stops.
I think that's what people don't realize.
It never stops. It's a sickness, dude.
As somebody who got the Travis, this is how it goes. Oh, yes. Oh, dude, they're
back
dope.
in the box.
Sure, and then you put them in the box, and then you go to the Dominican Republic, and you have not taken them out yet.
Nope, and I haven't either. And I'll tell you what, I'll eventually put together an outfit, and I'll shit on who.
And I like them. I'm not saying I don't like them, but I'm just saying where this is the homework. What's the last thing that got you crazy hyped and why? And you don't got to tell me. You don't got to leave for once. You don't have to. I'm not going to tell you to leave it in the comments or whatever, but just have the conversation with yourself. Did you get hyped because it was worth a lot of money? Did you get hyped because somebody wore it? Did you get hyped because some blog told you to? Did the brand just beat you over the head? Man, dude, Off-White. Remember that? They were just like, how many times can we jam this onto your timeline?
I didn't get one pair of Off-Whites, by the way. Not one.
I'm just saying.
Damn it.
I'm just curious. I want everyone to have that moment. The last one that I got hyped on was the Air Tailwind 4. So I'm, just imagine my answer.
I would love it if Nike would drop some of these. They have the OG Tailwind with the big air bubble. Man, I love that Nike.
Anyway, that's our episode for today. Shout out to our Hall of Heroes.
Hey guys, thank you for everybody that's chipped in, that's made a little contribution here and there. Anything helps. We really appreciate it.
We hope that you enjoy the pre-recorded ads as well. If you've been hearing them on the audio-only platforms, we try to make them as fun and as bearable as possible. We are excited. Again, thank you to Spotify for sponsoring us.
Spotify, Samurai Bow.
Want to shout out Brandon Ramqualawan.
Brandon, thank you, buddy.
Brandon R. I probably just destroyed your last name. We just
butchered your name.
Have a good laugh.
Like it was our job.
You did join the Hall of Heroes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, on May 10th, so I was like I said, on the beach without internet connection and whatnot. So this is I'm sorry, but the first time we're acknowledging it.
Brandon, thanks, dude.
We like you and we appreciate you. And shout out to everybody else that is in the Hall of Heroes. Shout out to everybody who hits like. That is, of course, very important as well. Share. So copy and paste the title and the link to your Twitter. That is the most absolutely important thing you can do. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We'll be back again next week. COYLE, you got anything for them?
I just want to say that if you're out there listening to this right now and you listened all the way to this point, I appreciate you.
You got to give them some random fact.
You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Did you ever see a man shit in a tree?
Did you ever see a man shitting at full speed while running?
No, you didn't.
Rab himself has done it.
Wow.
Look it up. While running at full speed, dropping a deuce.
Longest episode ever. Episode 6.
Peace.